Hello everyone, today we're going to focus on the period of time known as Ben Haמצrיים. Joining me today is Rebbetzin Ashira Shabbat Hallelujah. Ben Haמצrיים is the 3 weeks between Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, the 17th day of the month of Tammuz, until Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av. So altogether 3 weeks, and in this period of time is a time of mourning. So on Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, the city of Yerushalayim was breached by the Babylonian army, and on the 9th of Av, the first temple, is burnt down. Bet HaMikdash HaRishon is burnt down. The same day, years later, on the 9th of Av, the second temple is also burnt down. The first temple is destroyed in the year 422 BCE by Nebuzaradan, the general of Nebuchadnezzar's army, the king of Babel. And the second temple is destroyed in the year 70 to the Common Era by the Roman emperor. The general was Titus. He was the son of the Roman Caesar Aspicianus. Ben Haמצrיים, the term Ben Haמצrיים, comes from Eicha. It comes from the pasuk, from the word, from the pasuk, Kol rodfea hisigua Ben Haמצrיים. All those who were chasing to harm her managed to catch up to her. Ben Haמצrיים. This is a tough time. This is a tough time in Jewish history. In general, there's a lot of bad things that happened on the 17th of Tammuz, and a lot of things that happened on the 9th of Av, and therefore we take these 3 weeks as a time for mourning. The 3 weeks break down into different levels of strictness. The first part, the most basic, is during the 3 weeks. But as closer that we get to Tisha B'Av, the stricter we get with our restrictions. So, when we get to Rosh Chodesh Av, the beginning of the month, the restrictions get stricter, and then the week of Tisha B'Av, it gets stricter, and Erev Tisha B'Av, the night of Tisha B'Av itself, it keeps on getting stricter and stricter. So, what kinds of things do we not do? We talked about this as a kind of thing of avelut, times of mourning. So, we do not make the blessing of Shehechianu. Shehechianu is a joyful blessing that we get to make when something new is happening. So when you get a nice piece of clothing, you make a Shehechianu. When you wear it the first time, if you eat a new fruit, you say a Shehechianu. We do not get married or engaged during the time of the 3 weeks completely. We do not shave, and we do not get haircuts during the 3 weeks. We also do not listen to live music, as that gives us a lot of joy. Listening to recorded music, to a cappella, there are different opinions about this that are more lenient, that you can listen to either recorded music or that you can listen to a cappella where it doesn't have instruments, but going to listen to live music is definitely problematic. Once Rosh Chodesh Av comes, which means the 1st of Av, it becomes stricter. And in that time, we enter what's called the 9 days. In the 9 days, we also don't eat meat, and we don't eat chicken, we don't drink wine. We do all of those things on Shabbat, but, for example, when we make Havdalah, the wine that we came to drink, we can't drink it anymore, so it's better to either make Havdalah on something that you could drink, for example, milk, or to give it to a child to drink who does not completely understand, so they drink it for you. We also don't take pleasurable types of showers, baths, etc. So you don't need to take a cold shower, but the water should not be hot and extremely pleasurable. It should be simple, it should be quick. You rinse off and get out. but you should not be taking baths during this time of the 9 days. You should not be swimming. You should not you should not go into a jacuzzi or a pool, sauna, all these things during the 9 days. Sfaradim only do these things from Hashavua Shechalbo, which means if Tisha B'Av falls out on Wednesday, then only from Sunday all of those rules apply for Sfaradim. The exception for these rules have to do with if there is a Seudat Mitzvah, which means there's a boy that's born and there's a brit, the meal could have meat and wine in it. If someone finished learning a Masechet in Gemara and he does a Siyum, he could have meat and wine in the Seudat Mitzvah. Now moving on to Tisha B'Av itself, which is the end of these 3 weeks. At the end of these 3 weeks, we get to Tisha B'Av, and in Tisha B'Av, unlike other fasts, it is more like Yom Kippur for this matter. It starts at the nighttime. So all fasts start in the morning. They start with sunrise or with Netzach Hama, but the 9th of Av and Yom Kippur start the night beforehand. So we have a Seudah Mafseket, a meal that we eat beforehand, and there's different customs on what we eat during that meal, but I grew up with eating a hard-boiled egg in ashes as part of the meal, which means you take a piece of paper and you burn it and you dip it in the ash so that you go into the fast with a flavor of burnt, of sorrow for the destruction of Bet HaMikdash. And the fast starts then. We go to the Bet Knesset, we daven Maariv, and then we read Eicha, the Megillah of Eicha, a Megillah filled with sadness about the destruction of Am Yisrael and the temple, and a lot of sad things in the Megillah itself. And we have Kinot. Some people say more, some people say less, and you read through some of them. You move from that, you go back home, you go to sleep. The halachot for the fast are stricter than some of the other fasts. They're closer to Yom Kippur's restrictions. So first of all, you shouldn't be as comfortable. Some people sleep without a pillow that night. Some people sleep with a thinner blanket. Okay, something that symbolizes that you make sure that you realize that night is different than other nights. We don't eat, we don't drink, that is like other fasts. We don't shower, we don't put on perfume, we don't put on deodorant. We don't wear leather, okay, so leather shoes. We don't have sexual relations, and besides that, we have a bunch of other ones that have to do with just putting you in the right mindset. So we don't learn Torah because Torah is joyful. So we do not learn Torah on Tisha B'Av until Chatzot Hayom, which means till the middle of the day of Tisha B'Av. The things that you are allowed to learn from Torah are Megillat Eicha, the story of Eov, and certain chapters like that. We do not sit on chairs, just like mourners. We sit on the ground, and we do not greet people hello. It is if someone did greet you with a hello, you are allowed to respond. It is better not to do. It's better not to do it in a joyful way. So if someone goes, "Hey, how are you?" you go, "I'm good. How are you?" Right? Do it in a more serious and what's called koved rush, so that you remember that, so that you remind the other person in that way that we don't greet people on Tisha B'Av. And remember to focus on what the day is all about. A good thing to do during the fast to help you stay in a good mindset, or a sad mindset for that matter, is something that I grew up that we would do, is we would sit and we would discuss different atrocities that have come onto the Jewish people throughout history. So some years it was about the Holocaust, some years it was about the Inquisition, the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, and different stories like that. It helps keep you focused. I forgot to mention, but after Chatzot Hayom, the middle of the day, you are allowed to get up and sit on a chair or a couch like you would on a regular day. The last thing that we'll talk about is exactly what is happening this year, is when Tisha B'Av falls out on Sunday. So we are not allowed to do any minhagei avelut, anything that mourners would do on Shabbat. So what do? We basically push everything off. So Tisha B'Av this year technically falls out on Shabbat. We don't fast on Shabbat, except if it's Yom Kippur. We push it off. Then Motzei Shabbat, the fast starts. So we don't have a Suda Mafseket the same way. We eat a Suda Shlishit, regular. We don't, you make sure that you finish eating before sunset so that you're not eating into the fast. We don't take off our shoes. Okay, we're used to taking off our leather shoes or sandals or whatever it is before we come to Shul, but over here, you're not allowed to take them off until Shabbat comes out. Therefore, what you do is you either, if you're going to daven in Shul, you bring your shoe, you come into Shul with your shoes, and you say Baruch HaMavdil, or you'll say Atachon Antanu when you're davening, and then you take them off in the end of that, when the fast is declared that it's starting, once you finish davening. Or if your Bet Knesset is going to be starting later on, then what you should do is you should have your shoes, you should take them off at home after you say Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh Lechol, when you declare that you are stopping Shabbat, so that you can take off your shoes and come in with rubber shoes, etc. When we finish Mariv, we say Bore Meorei Ha'esh, okay, and Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh Lechol, and afterwards, only in the end of the fast, will we make Havdalah on wine or grape juice and say Borei Pri Hagafen and Hamavdil ben Kodesh Lechol and finish that up. Hope this year we do not fast on Tisha B'Av. Hope we celebrate Tisha B'Av as a holiday with Binyan Bet HaMikdash and Mashiach. Two more things that I forgot to mention beforehand. Number one is on Tisha B'Av itself, we do not put on tefillin in Shacharit. We put them on after Chatzot Hayom. We put them on at Mincha. And the second thing is during the 9 days, or for Sfaradim, Shavua Shechal, but we also do not do laundry. In that time that we don't do laundry, we also don't wear what is considered clean clothes. So before the 9 days, you're supposed to wear the clothes, even if it's just for a moment, and you take them off and put them on the side so that they are considered clothes that were worn.